Mrs. Clarke or Senora Clarke.
And what is the craziest thing that you've witnessed at your time at Emerson?
Well, my craziest thing was when I started here, it was COVID. So I had to teach in, I think, a total of maybe 6 different rooms. And I was on a cart and I had to go to a different room for different periods, like 3 different rooms throughout the day. And I was on a cart on Zoom teaching my students. And some of my students were at home, some were in the building. And it was very crazy because saw I never saw anyone in person. So the entire year I taught, I was even in the building, but none of my students were in my classroom. So even though some of the teachers ended up being with their students, the world language teachers were always on Zoom. So the craziest thing probably was that I had students who were taking Spanish, but they were mixed in a class of other kids who were taking music or industrial tech or FACS, and so they were trying to do Spanish when there were only like a handful of them with me, and I was on Zoom, and so they didn't want to talk. And so the kids who would talk were only the kids who were at home. So it was very crazy. I had kids in the hallway on their Chromebooks. I had kids in their bedrooms. So I know every teacher went through it, but I feel like for the world language teachers, it was kind of unique because we just were always on a cart and always on Zoom. So.
Thank you.
What's your name?
My name is Mr. Schalke.
How long have you been here for?
I have been teaching at Emerson since I've been in the Emerson community since 2004.
And what are some of the most interesting things that have ever happened at Emerson?
I don't really think that there have ever been any like really crazy things in my recollection have happened. There have been some interesting things like weather-related things. I remember one time, just as school was getting let out, there was a huge storm that blew through here, and it was just before kids got on a bus. So kids ended up staying here till probably like about 5:30. There was another time where it was a Wednesday, and after the kids were just released, we went into a lockdown, and we had to stay here because there was somebody suspected of a crime in the neighborhood, and it was pretty surreal. We were all sitting around just wondering what was going on. Luckily and thankfully, there were no kids here, and when it was time to leave, it was again pretty surreal. We were escorted out. There were choppers in the area, so you could see like helicopters hovering in the area, and we were escorted out by police officers, so that was a little bit creepy. That's about the most interesting thing that I've ever seen happen here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Your name?
Mrs. Flores.
And how long have you been teaching at Emerson?
This is my 10th year this year.
And what is the craziest thing that's happened while you were at Emerson?
I think that would be a recent event this year where a car crashed into the fence and then a tree here at Emerson, causing us to have a late start and students showing up later. And that was right before spring break, so a lot of people didn't show that day. So it was just a different kind of day that we didn't think was going to happen.
Thank you.